and welcome. This is the Wisdom Speakers and Seekers podcast, and my name is Jennifer Regular. I am the Soul Illuminator at Lighting the Path and also host of the show, which I love to do because I get to bring amazing people from all around the globe to share their journey, their wisdom, and their messages to help us uplift humanity and become more of who we came here to be and do what we came here to do. Today, I have my guest, Richard Morden from Mexico City. He is a transformation coach, also a divorce coach, certified and accredited tapping EFT practitioner, and a multidiscipline healer. Richard Morden helps entrepreneurs who battle with depression, anxiety, and panic attacks to find emotional freedom, peace, and balance. He is also an active member of the Essential Academy, supporting people after divorce make sense of their journey and create a new and higher vibration self for their next relationship. Richard, welcome. It's such a joy to have you here.
Thank you, Jennifer. It's an honor to be here and honored to have this opportunity to speak and share and see what we can offer people, some sort of wisdom at the end of this.
Yes, absolutely. And how did this become such a passion for you, helping people through grief and divorce?
My own personal journey. I'm not a divorce, but I'm a widow many years ago, but I've also experienced many losses in my life. My mother when I was young, family, brother suicide, cancer. So I've seen people come and go in my life. And all these people that I watched pass were people that I loved dearly, that were in my life, that I had physical contact with. So seeing them and then understanding who am I when they pass and how do I allow that grieving process, but allow them to be a memory, not a grieving memory or a sad memory, but a good and loving memory. Because, you know, we're not meant to be sad. We're meant to experience change. And that's where my work is helping people flow through that change and into something greater, not sit in a state of holding pattern for what has happened in their life.
Yes, it's so true. There is that sense of in real concept of impermanence. And going through loss, I've gone through many myself. Actually, by the time I was 21, there were 17 losses I had experienced. And of course, many since then, and not just through death, but also through ways of being and losing the house and husband and jobs and all of those things that we can become really attached to as part of our identity. But what I noticed too, when I was at many different funerals, there's different ways of celebrating that life and honoring the death. And what I noticed too is what people spoke about, the spirit of the person, the relationship that they had with that person that is long remembered after they leave, and really having a bond that continues long after we may not have that same form of relationship with the person in that physical presence, but also understanding then what becomes more important, getting aligned with their values and recognizing that impermanence in life. What do you see in the people that you work with? What kind of issues come up for them?
A lot of sort of unacknowledged emotions. And we as a generations of people were not taught really to how to experience our emotions and honor them. I mean, in most parenting, children are trying to teach what we call good behavior. You know, so to stop crying and here put a smile on and try and be happy. And then it comes into a form of some parenting, you know, literally controlling a child so they have that appearance. But, you know, we're not taught to say have sadness or anger or any emotions because, you know, again, it didn't fit our model of the world. And when we grow up as adults, we still don't know how to acknowledge those emotions. We have mediums and lifestyles and cultures that, you know, just move on, do this or behave like this. And we don't know how to. So much of the biggest piece, unacknowledged anger, unacknowledged sadness, unacknowledged grief, you know, and they say move on in life, get over, but that's not how we process emotions. They're energy that is within our body.
Yes.
And unacknowledged over time, it builds up. Your body only has so much storage capacity because it is the holder of your emotions in your story. And you look at people over time, you know, years later, they start to develop, you know, disease, illnesses, aches and pains, some sort of obviously huge discomfort, knees, elbows, hips. And it's all emotional energy that gets caught. And again, we don't know. You know, we're told, you know, take this pill and work on its symptoms, but when you get down to the true cause of it, which is some sort of emotional discord, the body will heal itself. It has the natural mechanisms to do wonderful healing when we allow it to do so.
Yes, amazing ability to heal itself. And also our body talks, it carries all the stories. It knows everything that's ever happened to us, really.
Yep.
And so, like you say, emotions, if we're not acknowledging them, then they get stuck. And they get stuck in our cells, imprinting in our body and create the same sort of patterns. So how was your journey into EFT, emotional freedom technique, and tapping? How did that come about for you?
I found this online just about 2 months before I suddenly lost my wife in 2013. So I guess Providence was there. You know, she had a brain aneurysm, and then, you know, we had to remove some life support. And then suddenly I went from being, like, literally within 24 hours, I went from being married to being a widow with 2 children. And I seen the EFT, so I realized in my own mind I needed self-care. You know, and I want to understand how to manage my own emotions and how I could be present for my children, and, you know, in their journey forward as they were going into post-secondary education. So I used it online, and it helped. And then I decided to look for a course, and I found a course actually in Guelph, Ontario, a couple hours away, and that was several months later. I took a 3-day course, and I thought it would be helping me with his grief. The passing of my wife wasn't in that 3-day journey. I had emotions and trauma show up I had no idea even existed in my body. So that was an awakening for me of, if this is something I've experienced, what have other people experienced? You know, and I saw my family's own dysfunction. So I just really dug into it. I thought, this is really powerful for me. And being, I would say, selfish in the sense I needed to look after myself again. I wanted to be available for my children physically, mentally, emotionally. So I took that 3-day course, and again, I took it again in 2014 with now my mentor and teacher, Nancy Forrester, and then 10 months of training with her to become a facilitator. And I've been very passionate on my own self-care of discovery with my colleagues, because the clearer I am in my life, the clearer my children are. And it helps me when I'm facilitating with someone else, and I'm never in anybody's story. I'm being very compassionate, but I'm also holding space for that transformation. But I had to do myself first.
Yeah, dealing with ourselves first and being able to approach life and our relationships through the best version of ourselves rather than what's left of us.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And how empowering is that, Richard, to be able to find something so powerful that can actually break through all of those stuck emotions and help them to move through and really experiencing awakening through the grief process.
Well, it was also very formative for me as I was heading into my retirement too. Like I said, this was 2013-14. I retired in 2016 after a 30-year career. So my life has been about change and being able to process that change in a very formative and formulated way. And again, fortuitously, as I look at other, especially in men's work, where I carried anger for decades, and and it took me a lot of work to release that, unknowingly how much I was holding on to it. And I see where a lot of people, and men and others, who reach a critical stage in their life and have a physical breakdown, heart attack, all types of illness, sort of rise up. And I say that was transformative. I was able to intervene that when I found EFT. I realized I was heading for a heart attack. I was heading for diabetes. I was heading for all these things, that this allowed me to have greater self-awareness in my physical and mental well-being, but also my dietary aspects. So it was such a blessing in my life to have these events and look at it back in this way. I could have been easily hospitalized for where I was going. And so if I can help someone else intervene that, you know, with an emotional outlook, because we get caught in these ruts where we have these emotional turmoils, and then we go into just sort of dysfunctional eating, dysfunctional drinking to try and numb the pain. We have no idea what we're trying to numb or get away from. So it brought highlights to me of where those discords were. And if I can bring that to others where they can make conscious choices for themselves, you know, that's a blessing that I'm able to give, and I'm grateful for it.
Absolutely. And it can change the whole trajectory and direction for our life when we make those conscious choices. And you
Yes.
call yourself also a multidiscipline healer. So not just EFT, but are there some other modalities that you work with as well?
Well, I've become certified. My wife and I are both certified as NLP practitioners, neuro-linguistic programming. I love learning. I love digging into this self-discovery, but I've taken quantum touch, access bars, a number of other modalities, and I'm good at what I call R&D, rob and duplicate. I see something and I can do that, and I just start using it, right? So it's just having that awareness of choice of different things of how we utilize. And when I'm with a client, I'm very flexible and fluid what's going to take place, because I don't have we have an outcome, but what's going to help them achieve that outcome? I just literally pull rabbits out of the hat sometimes with the different tools I have to help them through a process. And it's fun, because this is, all I can say is it's enjoyable. You know, I'm having fun doing it and seeing the change take place that was what we call safe and formula form, not traumatic. You know, and that's the point where my focus is what we call conscious EFT, which is safety, and safety in the now, not digging up the past.
The safety of the now.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. And how did you zone in to be working with people of divorce?
That's kind of what kept showing up for me as I was doing a lot of you know, free work and trying to build my clientele and also my skill set. I took on a lot of free clients, and I wanted to be good at this, you know, and it's always a work in progress. You know, we're never there, but I'm enjoying that. And I always was in a sense of everybody sits down with me is a place of discovery. I mean, I always sit down in a sense of question and curiosity with something. I never have or try to have a conclusion, or, oh, I know what this is all about, because truth, I don't know anything. You know, so I'm sitting down asking questions, and I'm always like, wow, I never would have thought of that. So I just chuckle to myself and go, okay, let's go with this, because this is what's showing up for us, right? And understand that where this pattern comes from, because 100 people, you're going to have 100 different things show up, even though they may have had the same experience. You know, a divorce is an experience, a car accident experience, and yet it's going to show up in so many different neurological ways, so many sense of sensory ways, sound, you know, sound, touch, taste. So it's helping them process that into an outcome of relief and formulate their life in a more creative way.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, we're multidimensional beings living multisensory lives. And how do we integrate all of that we take in?
Yeah.
And I love your approach of curiosity and wonder and discovery, because that would make it fun. It makes it exciting, but it's also part of the transformation and part of the impermanence, not having attachments to any particular outcome, and just being fully present with what's there and being able to listen and see what arises when you allow for that kind of openness in the relationship, in the coaching kind of relationship.
Well, it's important because being curious allows me not to be judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's not my intent to ever be judgmental or have any type of non-acceptance. I don't make it sound magical, but that whole curiosity leaves both of us, myself and the client, that chance for growth that never would have been there if I had put any type of judgment on or went, oh yeah, here you go. You know, so I literally, and it's not to sound mighty or higher than, it's really, I really am curious. You know, because I'm my own best client. I'm in a constant process, you know, and especially being in relationship with my wife, you know, that we have our own discord, but it's be able to sit back and have that discovery. You know, we can do all what I call the private work in the sense of bettering ourselves, meditation, all these things, but it has to be put to test in relationship. And you know, that's what we're meant to do, and that's who we're meant to be, is in relationship with someone or something. We are in relationship with everything, our clothes, our food, our furniture, our cars, you know, our environment. We are in relationship with everything. So how we can do that in a more magical way is why we're here.
Yes. Thank you for that. Yes. And so how do you help someone get ready or prepare for a new relationship when they're coming out of divorce?
Help them understand their previous choices. And that's the thing. We sit back and wonder, why did this happen? Why? But we are creatures of unconsciousness. 5% conscious, 95% subconscious. And if you do the math, it's the subconscious has 95, almost 1,000% of the voting rights in how we formulate our life, from our early childhood patterns, what we saw growing up in our parents, when we have and those are what is the drawing card for how we attract people in our life, because it's familiar. If we have an abusive parent, we'll find an abusive partner because it's familiar to our unconscious and to our body in that. So when you understand those choices, and we so much blame ourselves and guilt ourselves, why did I ever do that? But you made the best choice available with the knowledge you had at the time. And you came here to learn from that, how to be better. I had alcoholism in my family. I had it in my marriage. Did I attract it? Absolutely. So it's understanding that process of, and we realize when you put the dots together, you go, oh, now I understand. And the family patterns and the traditional patterns that follow family trees. We realize, oh, now I understand where all this energy. Then we can help some reframe. And when we let go of that energy, we can create a reframe of what we would really like and the attraction patterns for that new relationship to happen. A year after my wife passed, I wrote my next relationship out on paper, and it was like 50 words. And I knew what that, all it was how that felt. And that happened 4 years later. So now we're, as my wife and I are sitting here in Mexico, my new wife, but I created that relationship and I understood what it felt like. And that attraction was what attracted me to meet this person. So we can do that. We are attracted beings. This is the misnomer of the law of attraction. Oh, just think about something, it'll magically appear. But what's going to show up is all your negative parts of that, because you're not clear on what it is. Because most of it, what we want in life, is what we're resistant to.
Interesting perspective.
So when we can have clear attraction, and that's part of the tapping, when you put the object, being, or whatever is in front of somebody energetically and do the tapping on that, you can clear your energy for that, so you start to attract that which you truly desire without all the unknown and hidden parts of it that often happen in our relationships.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yes, it makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. So how would people get a hold of you, Richard, if they want to experience these different modalities you offer, or make a change in their relationships, their patterns, their ways of being and thinking in relationships? How can they be in touch?
There's on my Linktree and LinkedIn profile. Linktree has actually my calendar booking on it as well, so they can actually make schedule a call with me. If you look at my profile on LinkedIn, you'll see kind of who I am a little bit, and a little bit of discovery that way, but I'm improving that. So there's more information about me, but most of the time it's best just to have a conversation with me, even 15-20 minutes, and we can have some question answers and see where that may go for you. And if I'm maybe provide something for you, or refer that to someone else, because it's not about me. If I feel someone's going to be not my ideal client, or they have circumstances that I don't think I'm going to be a good fit for, I will help. I gladly bring someone else in that they can have a conversation with. So it's all about helping that person change or transform in the best way possible for them.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, so it's really person-centered kind of approach. Yes, incredible. And what is it that you think it's important for people to know about this healing journey, about coaching and about transformation?
We're in a process of change, whether we really understand it or not. And it's about letting go of what we're so familiar with. We always want to hang on to change. We're so used to a routine and pattern, I think. And it's helping people make that shift of turning into something, even though it's unknown, then instead of trying to cling to the past, whether it be a job change or anything else, and all the stories and things that come with that. We are creatures of change, and whether we like it or not. So it's helping them let go and do so without the regret and pain, that they can look forward to what's coming, what they're heading into, but they also have choice. And I teach the difference between choice and decisions. So that opens up a lot more doors. And choice leads to awareness, awareness leads to possibilities, which leads to more choice.
Oh, okay. And so how is that different from decision?
how many people felt guilt about decisions they made in life and were
Uh-huh.
shamed for them?
Right.
You know, you decided, you did this, and because, and we were so committed and live with the consequences. But with choice, you can change that. I could have a choice of having this conversation, and then partway through we can choose not to. We can have a choice of sitting and have coffee with somebody, but it doesn't mean we have to stay there if the conversation is not to our benefit, or not to our, in the boundaries or rules that we want to create for ourselves. So choice always, you know, I can have a choice to go outside and see if I'm going to go for a walk. It's not a, you know, so we have more choice than we realize. And choice gives us an opportunity to have discernment about what we're looking for and how we want to receive it in our life. And then choice leads to, again, rules and boundaries. We don't think those are all things we can create to live our lives with the meaning that we want from it, not what others tell us.
Oh, I love that, Richard. I love your take in that distinction between choice and decision. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yes, I really enjoy that. And so are there any other words of wisdom that you have for our audience today?
You know, people want to understand the mystery of life. And I think sometimes we get caught in trying to understand the mystery, but I believe we came here to experience it.
Yes.
And when we look at this as an experience, sometimes there's a lot of holy cows and other words we want to put to that. We can be curious, and that curiosity will open up more doors of self-awareness and opportunities than anything I can put upon you. If I can offer you that, to be curious, you will see more transformation in life and more good things happen when you do that. It will surprise you, and hopefully continue to surprise you, because that's what we came here for.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Richard. So appreciate you being here and sharing all of what you did today about choices and decision and working our way through grief and emotions that have been stuck, and the different ways that we can do that, and the approaches we can take, like with curiosity, for example.
Thank you.
Really appreciate that. And of course, we'll put the links that any of you who are interested in having a coffee chat with Richard or would like to peruse his website and the different modalities and services that he offers, we'll put those links in the show notes for you to access. I so appreciate all of you that have been here listening and watching on the Wisdom Speakers and Seekers podcast, and we'll see you again next time. Thanks for being here. And thanks again, Richard.
Thank you.